Your baby can't talk. I mean, they can't tell you when something hurts or when they feel, well, disconnected. But what if the little things we do every single day, the things we barely even think about, are quietly shaping the person they're going to become? So let's dive into what your baby can't tell you, but what their amazing developing brain really needs you to know. Okay, I know that's a tough question to look at. And just to be clear, we're not talking about neglect or anything like that. We're talking about totally normal, everyday moments that millions of us as loving parents have. Moments that can have these really big neurological consequences we don't even see. And I really want to put this right up front. This is not about making anyone feel guilty. Not at all. It's about empowerment. Because once you get what's really going on in your baby's little world, you can make these small shifts. And trust me, those small shifts can change absolutely everything. So let's start at the very beginning. Your baby's incredible, fast-growing brain. We're going to see how your presence, or even just a moment of emotional absence, is literally physically building its architecture. Here's a word that is just so important to understand. Co-regulation. You see, babies literally can't calm themselves down when they get upset. That hardware in their brain, it just hasn't been installed yet. So what do? They co-regulate. They actually borrow your calm nervous system to soothe their own. Think about that. You are their external regulator. So what happens when a baby is crying, sending out that signal for help, but that calm presence, that co-regulation they desperately need just doesn't show up? Well, what happens next isn't nothing. It's a whole biological chain reaction. This is something called the cortisol cascade. When a baby's cries are repeatedly ignored, their little body gets flooded with the stress hormone cortisol. Now look, life happens. You can't be there every single second. But the key word here is repeatedly. When it becomes a pattern, those constant cortisol spikes can actually change the brain's architecture, weakening the very parts that are responsible for feeling safe and managing emotions down the road. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? This isn't just some soft, fuzzy idea about bonding. This is hard science. It's biology. Every time you respond with warmth, you're helping to wire a brain for safety and trust. A pattern of missed connections, well, that just wires a very different reality. So how does this actually show up in our day-to-day lives? Let's take a look at some of these subtle, totally unintentional disconnects that happen all the time in our busy, modern world, often without us having a clue about their impact. You might have heard of the classic still face experiment. A mom is playing with her baby, and then all of a sudden, she just lets her face go blank and unresponsive. Within seconds, the baby becomes incredibly distressed. Now, think about your face when you're deep into your phone. To your baby, you've just become a still face, and neurologically, it can trigger that exact same panic and distress. But it's not just about what they see. A baby's world is this whole symphony of input. So that brings up another question, right? What is your baby picking up from your voice even when you're not talking to them at all? The answer is kind of mind-blowing. Get this, research shows that at just 6 months old, babies show measurable stress responses. We're talking spikes in their heart rate and cortisol just from overhearing adults arguing. And here's the craziest part. It happens even when they're asleep. Their nervous system is always listening. What this all means is that babies are just exquisitely tuned in to the music of your voice, the rhythm, the pitch, the emotion. When you're speaking with a lot of tension, even if you're saying "I love you," they don't get the words, they get the feeling. They feel the tone. And to their little survival-oriented nervous system, a tense tone means danger. Okay, so we've looked at some of the challenges, which can feel a little heavy. So now let's pivot to the solutions. And the best part is, the most powerful tools for building a secure, resilient brain are actually simple, they're free, and they're available to you at any given moment. This concept right here is a total game changer. It's called serve and return. Seriously, just think of it like a really gentle game of tennis. Your baby serves by babbling, or pointing, or even just looking at something, and you return the serve by responding and sharing that moment of attention with them. And here's how simple it is. It's seeing them stare at a light and saying, "Wow, you see that bright light?" Or when they make a little gaga sound, you make a sound back. You take turns. These little back and forth moments, they are literally the building blocks of your baby's brain. And I want to be clear, this is not just some nice parenting tip. The top experts at Harvard Center on the Developing Child say that this simple serve and return is more important for long-term healthy development than any fancy toy, any special class, or any educational app you could ever buy. It's all about that responsive connection. And that connection, it isn't just mental or emotional. It's deeply biological. Because beyond what they see and hear, there is this other channel of communication that is an absolute biological need, and that's touch. Touch is not a luxury for a baby. It is a vital nutrient for their system. Responsive, warm physical contact. And I don't just mean when they're upset, but just casual touch all day long. It releases oxytocin, that's the bonding hormone. It stabilizes their heart rate. It lowers that stress hormone cortisol, and it literally activates the nerve in their body that tells them, you are calm, you are safe. Okay, now for our final section. And honestly, this might be the most important part of this whole conversation, because after hearing all of this, it's so easy to feel this pressure to be perfect. But the science says something completely different, and it is so freeing. The brilliant psychoanalyst D.W. Winnicott came up with this phrase decades ago. And what's amazing is that modern neuroscience totally backs him up. Your baby doesn't need a perfect parent who gets it right every single time. They need a good enough parent, someone who's real. This just lays it all out, doesn't it? Chasing perfection is a trap. It's impossible, it's stressful, and it's not even what your baby needs. The real magic, the actual thing that builds a secure, trusting relationship, isn't about never messing up. It's about what you do after you mess up. It is all about the repair. And if you remember one thing, please let it be this. You will get distracted. You will have a bad day. You will miss a cue. Those moments of disconnection, they are not what shape your baby's brain. It's the coming back together. It's the, oh honey, I'm so sorry I was on my phone. I see you now. That is what builds real trust. That is what builds resilience. So, the goal isn't perfection. It's not about never missing a cue. It's just about having the willingness to see them and to return. Because in the end, that return, it's everything. So, the question is, are you ready to return?